North Korea should by all rights be a naval power. A country sitting on a peninsula, Korea has a long naval tradition, despite being a shrimp between the two whales of China and Japan. However, the partitioning of Korea into two countries in 1945 and the stated goal of unification by force if necessary, lent the country to building up a large army and reserving the navy for interdiction and special operations roles. Now, in the 21st century, the country's navy is set to be the sea arm of a substantial nuclear deterrent. The Korean People's Navy, KPN, is believed to have approximately 60,000 men under arms, less than 1/20th that of the Korean People's Army, KPA, ground forces. This, as well as comparable budget, makes the KPN's auxiliary role to the KPA. KPN draftees spent an average of 5 to 10 years. So while Pyongyang sailors may not have the latest equipment, they do end up knowing their jobs quite well. A substantial number of these sailors serve in the KPN's submarine fleet, which is one of the world's largest. In 2001, North Korea analyst Joseph Bermudez estimated that the KPN operated between 52 and 67 diesel-electric submarines. These consisted of 4 Whiskey-class submarines supplied by the Soviet Union and up to 77 Romeo-class submarines provided by China. 7 Romeos were delivered assembled, while the rest were delivered in kit form. Each Romeo displaced 1,830 tons submerged, but a top speed of 13 knots and was operated by a crew of 54. The Romeo submarines were armed with 8 standard-diameter 533mm torpedo tubes, 2 facing aft. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un was filmed touring and taking a short voyage on a Romeo-class submarine in 2014. Despite such an endorsement, the submarines are generally considered obsolete and are being phased out. In 2015, the Pentagon believed that North Korea has 70 submarines of unknown types on active duty. A multinational report on the sinking of the South Korean corvette Roxkian states that the KPN operated 20 Romeo-class submarines, 40 Sangho Shark-class coastal submarines, SSCs, and 10 midget submarines of the Yano class. The Sangho class of coastal submarines is approximately 111 feet long and 12 feet wide, and displaces 275 tons. It can do 7.2 knots surfaced and 8.8 knots submerged. There are 2 versions, one with torpedo tubes and another where the torpedo tubes are replaced with lockout chambers for divers. The latter are maintained by the KPN but operated by the Reconnaissance Bureau's Maritime Department. An improved version, informally known as the Sangho 2, is 131 feet long, displaces between 350 and 400 tons, and reportedly has a top speed of 13 knots. The armed variant is believed to be capable of carrying, in addition to torpedoes, sea mines, while the Reconnaissance Bureau's version carries between 35 and 40 passengers and crew. Finally, North Korea has about 10 Yano-class midget submarines, SSM. Derived from an Iranian design, the Yano class displaces 130 tons submerged, with 2 533mm torpedo tubes and a crew of approximately 20. The submarine can make an estimated 11 knots on the surface, but only 4 knots submerged. North Korea's submarine fleet, while smaller and less well-funded than the other armed services, has generated an outsized number of international incidents. On September 18, 1996, a Sangho SSC operated by the Reconnaissance Bureau ran aground near Gangneung, South Korea. The submarine, which had set a 3-man party of commandos ashore 2 days before to reconnoiter South Korean naval base, had failed to pick up the party the previous night. On its second attempt, the submarine ran aground and became hopelessly stuck within sight of the shoreline. Aboard the submarine were 21 crew and the director and vice director of the Maritime Department. South Korean airborne and special forces troops embarked on a 49-day manhunt that saw all of the North Koreans except for 1 killed or captured. Many committed suicide or were murdered by their superior officers to prevent capture. The remaining North Korean sailor, or agent, is believed to have made his way back across the DMZ. 8 ROK troops were killed, as were 4 South Korean civilians,